Hi all, welcome to yet another episode of One Pitch Catch. This is the last preview for this India versus England series. The fifth test starts tomorrow at the Oval, with everything to play for. England leading 2-1. Though India seem to have won more sessions across the first four test matches, England have won the critical moments that actually mattered, and so they have clinched it better, and so the scoreline reads 2-1. So what do you think of these things, Jaga?
Yeah, I think momentum is an interesting thing. You would like to believe that the momentum is with India because they were able to draw the game. I certainly think that India will feel that they got a lot more out of the test at Old Trafford rather than England. And subsequently, I think what we'll find is that the pressure is probably now on England to basically make sure that they win the series rather than it resulting in a draw. Because all said and done, I think expectations about this Indian team were definitely not that high, given the amount of churn in the batting and then the whole thing around Jasprit Bumrah only playing three tests and things like that. So I think a lot of commentators did call out that England were the favorite. So it's going to be interesting how the last test plays out in terms of the people, the conditions, the pitch. There's already been some drama around the pitch yesterday with tiff between the curator and members of the Indian coaching staff. So I don't know what's so secretive about it. Let's see. But
Uh,
what do you think in terms of I think what we have seen over the series is the toss. Has it really played a part? What about, say, the weather, and what are you seeing from that perspective?
I don't think toss doesn't matter. In fact, I don't even think a toss is required because India has lost all four tosses. Though India was asked to bowl only once. Three times England have, I think. Okay,
I
so
think it's 2-all.
okay, but again, the thing is, even though the toss hasn't mattered, England has won all tosses. The cricket has been very competitive across between both the teams, because it's not that India has been majorly disadvantaged because of losing the toss or anything, because India
Yeah.
has stepped up very well. Like you said, nobody gave India this much of a chance to be going into the last test with 2-1 down. Okay, so that way Indian batting has lived up. I hope they live up for one more test match, because all the time in every series, like I've told before, no one there is one test match where our batting completely flops. I don't want that to be. I mean, because everybody is talking about, can India make it level 2-2 at Oval and all those things. I don't want it to become a damn squib of surrendering meekly. And I don't think that will happen the way the Indian batsmen have batted over this series. And also, with respect to pitches, also, England is not going to give a pitch which is going to be very difficult for the Indian batsmen, because it will be even more difficult for their batsmen considering our bowlers. So though Bumrah is not playing, I think India have the power to destroy the opposition if they give a green top. In spite of Bumrah not playing, so that way I think the toss definitely doesn't matter. I feel after the toss going into the 11 Jaga, you've seen that. Though India has not obviously disclosed the 11 yet, England, as usual, have disclosed it. And the biggest surprise was Stokes being injured, and Stokes being injured, and they've almost replaced their entire bowling lineup with
Yeah.
Stokes out, Archer out, Cars out, Dawson out. So these four,
Yeah.
may only Oaks from the previous test from the bowling lineup is remaining. So what do you think of these four new changes? I mean, of course, Stokes is forced change because he's injured.
Yeah.
Uh, Overall, what do you
I
think,
think
Jagat?
they're bringing in Jacob Bethel almost like a all-rounder replacement for Stokes, and that also gives them the spin option, which does not exist now with Dawson is not playing. Then they have also brought in Gus Atkinson and Jamie Overton, who are new as far as the series is concerned, and Josh Tongue, who played, I think, the first couple of tests.
Yes.
I certainly see them trying to basically rejig their bowling lineup to bring in more freshness because it has been a pretty long series. I think we have seen that there's been play on pretty much all the tests have gone right into the fifth day, probably in the first or the second session at a minimum. So there's a lot of overs that's been bowled. So I think the fresh arms and legs would be, I think, the something the team is really going to appreciate. It's going to be interesting to see how this group fares. Certainly, I think the Indian batting has held up on its own over the period of time. But I think, yeah, it was surprising to see that Stokes was pulled out. It's not something that you've seen him pretty much pull through a lot of injury and pain in the past. I mean, he only said pain is just a
Motion.
statement or some emotion or something like that,
Motion.
right? So it's almost like விவேக் ஏதோ ஒரு காமெடியில வந்து அது பெயின் வேற டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் அப்படின்னு சொல்ற மாதிரி now he's basically buckled to it. But what do you think about the Indian 11? Like, okay, so obviously Jasprit Bumrah is not going to play. Rishabh Pant will also not play. Who else is probably going to play or should play or must play?
So I think, I mean, for Bumrah, I assume it will be Arshdeep again, and Arshdeep, and for Punt, it's obviously Jurel. So the Arshdeep is my guess. Jurel, I
Or
think, is a
Akash?
no. I, Akashdeep, I think, will still come in for Kamboj, Anshul Kamboj, I
Okay.
feel. So India could also have four changes, is my gut feel.
Hmm.
I would say Arshdeep for Bumrah, Akashdeep for Kamboj, and the third Deep. Kuldeep in for Shardul
Will he play?
is what I would assume, because though the oval wicket is not known to assist spinners a lot, it's going to be. I mean, like England has also announced 11 with no spinners. I mean, front line spinners, I would say Bethel and Root are there, but they are heavily dependent on their pace attack because that's what the oval history suggests at oval. But India already have two spinners in Washington and Jadeja. Though I would
Two
not.
half spinners.
Two half spinners, exactly. That's what I was about to say. I don't think they are front line spinners going into a test match in Sena, but their batting
Yeah.
has been extremely good for this series, and so we cannot afford to drop them. At the same time, taking Kuldeep would help, maybe not in the first 2 days. Going into the third, fourth, and fifth days, I think there will be assistance to spin. And Kuldeep, all of us have been shouting to include Kuldeep for a long time. I think uh, adding Kuldeep would also challenge the England's Bazball aggressive approach. That is one great advantage for India, I think, because it will force England to rethink the way they bat. So that would be a good
Yeah.
opportunity for India to unleash Kuldeep on England. I'm not sure if he's going to be picking a 3 or 3 for 4 in both innings. I don't think that he would be make a great impact in the first innings,
Hmm.
whether he's going to bowl in the first innings or the second innings of the match. But the third or the fourth innings would be when Kuldeep would be able to make an impact.
Yeah.
And I assume we've carried him. I mean, once, in fact, you remember Ravi Shastri once a few years back said when he was coach, Kuldeep is our primary spinner, he
Number
said.
one overseas, right?
I mean, in fact, everywhere, India or overseas, Kuldeep is our first spinner. In fact, it irked Ashwin also a bit. In a
Yeah, yeah.
later interview, Ashwin would have hinted at that.
Correct.
That
Refer to it.
Ashwin
Yeah.
didn't like that comment from Ravi Shastri. But going this series, it doesn't look anywhere like that for Kuldeep. So I think these four changes would make sense for India. But such an important game, both the teams looking almost. I mean, England have confirmed four changes. India, more or less, I am assuming
More
there
or
will
less
be four
sure.
changes. But I think England, I mean, going back to the England 11 that you spoke about, Jaga, but completely changing new bowlers is not a bad idea because everybody is fatigued. So coming in some fresh legs into the last must-win game is good for England. I mean, in fact, it's not must-win for England as much as it's for India. Even a draw
Yeah.
would help them win the trophy. England for England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's the interesting part, right? But going back to the pitches at the Oval in the last few matches that have been played there, what I did see is that I mean, there's first of all the whole, like I mentioned, the tiff between Gautam and the curator in the context of the pitches becomes important then, right? So yeah, there have been five recent county championship matches there in the season. Three out of them have been draws. And in fact, the last match that was played at the Oval, Surrey made 800 odd in their first innings. Durham ended up scoring, I think, 300 or something like that. Then they followed on and they still made 260 for no loss. So it was a draw. Three of the five matches have been draws. In pretty much all of the matches, there's been at least one or two scores of 300. And apart from this one score of 800, there was another match where there was a score of 500. So I think the pitches, I mean, it's highly likely that there are multiple strips and all of these matches are being played across them. So most likely we are looking at a pretty flat surface. But what's interesting is that from a weather perspective, there's a lot of rain expected on day one, and then it sort of reduces over a period of time. So day one is going to be pretty crucial in terms of which team gets to use the conditions even on a flat wicket with maybe seaming conditions and swing. Can they make the best use of it and basically put the opposition under pressure right from day one? Like, so days two, three, four may become batting friendly, but day one I doubt if it's going to be batting friendly. So that's going to be interesting. The other, when we speak about what happened at the end of the Old Trafford test, interestingly enough, when Durham followed on and they were 260, they ended up with 260 for no loss. The match was called off after 55.4 overs of Durham's second innings. Now, guess what? Uh, Alex Lees, who's the captain of Durham, was not out 100. So obviously, this means that the call off happened immediately after he got his 100. Otherwise, it would have not been 55.4 overs.
Yeah.
It would have been 56 overs or something like that. Or even it would not have ended just exactly at 100. So that means clearly they waited for the 100 to happen. So I'm just questioning, like, so this is not generally something that happens in England cricket, and whatever Ben Stokes is doing is, is that the right thing versus this is the wrong thing? It brings in some interesting moral questions in terms of whatever lecturing he was giving, saying, Harry Brook and Ben Duckett will give you the runs or something like that. So I just wanted to place
Yeah,
that in
exactly.
context.
But the captain of Surrey is Rory Burns and not Ben Stokes. So
That's why.
that's why Alex Lees was allowed to get to this 100. Or probably, I don't know, I didn't watch that. Probably Rory Burns tried to shake hands with Alex Lees before, and Alex Lees didn't agree to it or not.
Yeah, maybe,
But
maybe, quite possible.
so it's not a culture thing that some people
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
ex-players are defending Ben Stokes against. England culture is not like that. The Indian culture is towards
Right.
milestone. It's not a culture thing. They have also, I mean, in a game where there has been 800 scored, 300 follow on, absolutely. So they have also
Yeah,
given into a batsman getting to 100. So it's
exactly.
not a
Yeah.
culture thing, and I don't agree. A lot of ex-players also seem to have come in support of Stokes also. That India. I mean, if you wanted 100, you should have batted faster from the start. I mean, what do you
Why would
mean?
you take risks?
How can you bat fast from the start? Then you are giving the. I mean, then the purpose of drawing the game was not there. You might have probably lost it if you went for it initially. Okay, that's we've spoken enough on
எப்படி
that
இருக்குன்னா
topic.
in Avai Shanmugi, when Kamal is going through his makeover, he gives Nagesh some amount, some 7,000 rupees or something like that. Nagesh says, I want a lot more. I want 10,000 of 12,000. Kamal says, no, this is what I got when I sold my bike. Nagesh says, you should have sold that bike for 12,000. So this is like, what? I mean, why are you asking India to bat faster when they have a test match to save? No team is going to do that. So that's a pretty stupid question.
Question. Then, I mean, before we close, one thing, Jaga, Bumrah being precautionary for his back, preserved, protected, whatever, don't you think it's a little controversial not to play him in a very important game like this at the Oval tomorrow, Jaga?
It is. I mean, unless he's really, really unfit, I think he should have played. What are you preserving him for? Like the next series, when? I mean, this is what matters right now, right? How likely is it that he'll completely break down if he just plays one more match? I don't know. Then the obvious natural question is, so why did he play some of the IPL games? I think he played like 8 or 10 IPL games.
10,
He
12
missed the
games he
first
played.
maybe couple of weeks. So why did he do that? And I mean, if you really wanted to make sure that he was recovering quickly and you had his best interests in mind, he should not have played at least most of the IPL, if not fully. So clearly, this means that playing for your country is a lot less important than playing for your IPL team. In fact, playing for your country in a must-win game so that you're able to draw a series abroad under a young captain with the team in transition, and still you're basically not going to play this. It really calls into question the priorities that the administrators have,
Yeah, it's a little
or he
disappointing.
himself for that matter.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. See, he didn't play the first 4 games of Mumbai Indians this year. And then he started playing, and then he played 10, 12 games. He could have, I mean, I'm just wondering, could he have just missed 2, 3 games in between? So, which would have helped him to play one more test. From
Yeah,
from from the time the squad was announced, or even the captain was made announced, like Bumrah didn't want to be captain because he will play only 3 tests. So this has
yeah.
been a, I mean, our poster hanging here, holding a poster saying Bumrah will play 3 tests, Bumrah will 3 tests. Those that didn't go well with me, and I've heard from a lot of fans also who didn't like this. But at the same time, overall, I don't know who takes these calls, whether prioritizing, that is IPL games over India, important must-win in India games, BCCI or the team management slash the medical committee or the franchise or the player himself. So I think
Maybe it's a combination of all.
maybe yes, but BCCI has to step in, right? I think as the big
But
boss of all these things, BCCI
and
should
he's
put.
centrally contracted, right? He's contracted to the BCCI, so that has to take precedence over being contracted to the even MCA for that matter. Sorry, not MCA. I think he plays for Gujarat. So whether he's playing for his contract with the BCCI has to be more primary compared to his contract with Mumbai Indians or Gujarat Cricket Association or any other team that he's representing.
I hope there is a clause which says the BCCI contract takes precedence over every other contract. I hope there
Yeah,
is,
but
because see, even a lot of retired players are not allowed to go and play in other T20
yeah.
leagues. It takes some time for them. There is a cooling period or something like that. So I am sure there is a clause which says the contracted players, but somehow I think Bumrah should have played tomorrow and
I
given.
think knowing, seeing what priority the IPL has had over the years, I think the IPL may be the primary thing in the contract, and national cricket comes second. Sadly,
Probably, I mean, it's unwritten probably.
yeah, maybe,
I mean, this is also at the same time is asking too much of Siraj. Siraj has played almost every
yeah,
game for India, not just in this series, even in Australia, and even in
yeah,
IPL. He also played all games in IPL.
correct, correct, yeah,
So in between also he's played a lot of cricket. I hope his body stands up for yet another 5 days of grueling Test match at the Oval. Because we really need him now. I don't think Siraj also can be rested now with the given the
yeah. Then
situation.
you're going to have Prasidh or Anshul. It's like between Devil and Deep Sea. Maybe Prasidh is better from that perspective.
Yeah, or maybe they'll give Shardul and give him more bowling.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
So let us see that. So that's it. So I mean, an
Right.
enthralling test match ahead, like what we have seen in the last 4 test matches. I hope that is. I mean, the game also lives up to the hype of another exciting test
Yeah.
match coming up, Jaga.
Great. Thanks a lot. And we'll come back in a few days' time. Until then, bye bye and keep watching, keep following, keep subscribing, and leave your comments.
Bye bye.
Thank you.